So it's just finished up at Stamford Bridge. Chelsea running out comfortable winners in the first leg of their Champions League tie with Lille. And to be honest, there was only ever going to be one winner in this. I never really fancied the French champions to come to Stamford Bridge and cause Chelsea any problems. I thought they started the second half quite well with a bit of intent, but Chelsea were just really sharp in the way they attacked all night long. I thought they were really efficient. There was a flow to the way they got forward at certain points in the game, and they just looked to have so much more movement in that area of the park without Romelu Lukaku, who's proving to be a little bit of a problem at the moment. It has to be said. I think Kai Havertz is doing a wonderful job up there. I think his movement's much better. I think it's much more sophisticated. I think he makes the kind of runs that Chelsea need him to make. I think he pulls people out of position and creates space for others as well. I just think he gives them so much more dynamism up top. And that's not to say that Romelu Lukaku's a bad player or that he can't be a big asset to this Chelsea side, but it's just not working with him and Chelsea right now for whatever reason. And I just think they look a much better outfit with Havertz up top. I think, obviously I think the tie is probably done and dusted. I think that, had Lille managed to get something a little bit better here at Stamford Bridge, you could have been talking about a second leg with something to play for. But it feels like, they're just not strong enough. And although they were the group winners and Chelsea were the runners up, and it felt like, it normally feels like, or at least with the away goal rule, people used to say that it was better to play away from home first. Now, though, I think that might have changed because Lille would have probably preferred to have played at home first and potentially been able to get a result that at least sees them going into the second leg in contention. Whereas here, and now you go away from home, you get beaten, you could score a goal, but it doesn't count for double anymore. And there is no advantage to scoring away from home as opposed to at home. And all of a sudden, I think the whole kind of mental battle that you need to face when going into these Champions League ties, or the way that you would approach them, is all of a sudden very, very different. And I think it's going to take time for people to kind of get their heads around that change and how they should adapt. As an Arsenal man, there were a couple of players out on that pitch tonight that I was paying particular attention to. One of them being Jonathan David, who we've been heavily linked with, a centre-forward option who's in fine goal-scoring form this season and has been for a little while now. He's attracting a lot of attention. I get a lot of you guys in the comments telling me that he's the one. He's the one that we should be looking to bring in. Look, I'm not going to judge him based on tonight because I thought Lille overall were really lacklustre. They had plenty of possession. They had more than enough possession to cause Chelsea problems, but they just didn't really do anything with it at any point. So, I think as a centre-forward, especially when you play against a three sort of man defence like Chelsea's three centre-backs, and you're the lone striker, you're going to be quite isolated and you're going to be on the peripheries of things. It's just the way it goes. So I've got sympathy for Jonathan David in that sense, and I'm not going to be harsh and judge him based on what I've seen tonight, but I did want to see something. I always say to you guys in the chat box, like, my view on Jonathan David is a very kind of generic one. He's not somebody I've watched an awful lot of. I've seen highlights, I've seen lots of his goals, I look at the stats from time to time, but I wanted to see something from Jonathan David that was going to convince me that he's somebody that Arsenal should be looking at. And look, as I say, I'm going to reserve judgment on him for a little bit longer because this is not a game to judge him in my opinion. But we do need someone who can make a nuisance of himself against the best. We do need someone who is going to constantly cause opponents problems, and he's going to come up against teams like Chelsea, especially if we want to be competing right at the kind of top table of the Premier League again. I just wanted to see a little bit more, and we didn't get it, unfortunately. I wasn't really thinking too much about Renato Sanches, but I thought he was okay in sort of flashes in the game tonight. I think the kind of, I kind of got carried away with myself, and I started talking about or thinking about how Renato Sanches would fit into the Arsenal team. And if he was to fit in somewhere, it would probably be in that role that Granit Xhaka's playing now, which is like the left of the midfield three, a bit of a kind of number 8 sort of role. But the thing with Renato Sanches is sometimes he blows hot, sometimes he blows cold, and the rest of the time he's injured. And fitness is a big, big concern with Renato Sanches. We need someone who's going to be available for more than sort of 20 games over the course of the season. And just looking at his history, his injury history over the last few years, you can't say that with any degree of certainty. So for that reason, I think he's probably someone we should steer well clear of. But seeing him kind of have this spell in the first half where he was probably the best player on the park, it did make me start thinking about it again. But that's kind of the football fan in me that kind of gets excited. But at the end of the day, I don't think it would be a pragmatic signing. I don't think it would be the right signing. And although we've been heavily linked with both he and Jonathan David, based on what I've seen tonight, in particular in David's case, I'm not really sure that that's the solution. But let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know what you think in the chat. I'd love to hear from you guys as well. Make sure you leave a like on the video. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. And let me know if you want some more post-match reaction from non-Arsenal games, because I think we're going to start doing a bit of that. There won't be some incredible production value. It would just be a video like this. But I think it's something we're going to try and do, and we're going to try and get them out as close to the full-time whistle as possible. Chelsea comfortable winners over Lille. It was a result that was never really in doubt for me. Chelsea just having too much for them, too much quality. And despite their issues in the Premier League this season, and I say issues, they're much better than us, but, you know, they haven't really lived up to the hype that maybe some people sort of kind of surrounded them with at the start of the season. But they're still a really good outfit. They're still so good defensively. They've still got a very good coach and some world-class talent. And there's no reason why they can't go on and retain this trophy and be crowned Champions League winners in back-to-back seasons. I'll tell you what, they'll be looking at the league table. They'll want to consolidate a Champions League place finish, of course, and I think that will come anyway. But I think looking at the gap between themselves and Manchester City, and the fact that it only really looks like Liverpool are in a position to challenge Pep Guardiola's side, Thomas Tuchel, he won't say it publicly, but I think he'll be looking at this competition and thinking this is something that his team are more than capable of winning again. Remember, hit the like button, subscribe. We'll be back soon with more. Cheers.